And we are back. You're watching the X-Play Weekly live show, and that was Fuser by Harmonix. There's actually like half an hour more of that video, and it's going to be playing on YouTube right after this show. So if you liked that, if you want to watch some more DJing, some more DJ moves, here's some more Smash Mouth, whatever it is you want, the video has that for you, and it's up on YouTube in a few minutes' time. So I'll send you there after the show, and you can watch some more. But right now, Benjoy is joining me to talk about copyright on Twitch. Benjoy, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me again. Been a few weeks. I've been off for a while.
Yeah, it has.
Welcome to
You've been. Where have you been?
I've been here, there, and everywhere. Leeds, yeah. But I'm back for a little bit, so yeah, good to be back.
Okay.
I think you've got a future career in DJ.
I hope so. I hope that you can get a career just from playing Fuser and they just pay me. That's what I want to do. I want to just put Jolene and Smash Mouth together, and then I want to claim money for that process.
Yeah, the Fuser esports.
Ben, your microphone sounds a little bit crackly to me. I'm not sure if there's anything you can do about it at your end. Maybe give it a wiggle.
Maybe.
While he does that, allow me to be your guide as an introduction to the world of copyright issues with streaming, specifically around Twitch, although we'll mention some of the other platforms as well. So you may have heard about this in the news. Twitch recently faced a lot of criticism in October after deleting a large number of videos over copyright claims with very little warning. So Twitch acknowledged that deletions gave affected streamers no option to respond or seek a retraction, and in an update posted recently, they've apologised for how they've handled it. But the fact remains that a lot of videos are now getting copyright strikes that weren't before, and Twitch have offered some data about that. So until May of this year, streamers received fewer than 50 music-related DMCA notifications each year on Twitch. However, in May of this year, representatives for major record labels started sending thousands of notifications each week that targeted creators' archives, mostly snippets of tracks in year-old clips. We continue to receive large batches of notifications, say Twitch, and we don't expect this to slow down. Twitch claimed that this caught them by surprise and they weren't expecting to receive these takedowns, which I think is maybe a little bit naive to think that the record company would never come after you for this and that it was fine because they never had before. Your microphone still sounds awful, Ben. We might have to...
it's making noise while I'm not even saying anything.
Yeah, it just sounds really crackly the whole time.
That's annoying that it was fine on the sound check.
Yeah, we do a sound check. We're a very professional outfit. While Ben's playing with cables, some more details here. After analysing the DMCA notifications, and I think this is really interesting. So Twitch analysed all these, thousands of requests they were getting. Virtually all of them, more than 99%, were for music that was simply playing in the background of streams. So this is stuff that you would imagine would be considered transformative or fair use. If you're just going to stream an album and not add anything to it, that is probably illegal. If you're doing a stream that happens to contain music, that's probably fine. And we know that game companies, especially, if they've claimed the license to the song, you're making it worse every time you touch it.
Oh, God.
Do you have any other microphones available?
No, the only one I have is if I swap to my laptop. The mic on there. Or I see whether the headset works better in there, so I can try that.
Yeah, mute yourself for a bit and have a little play. Have a chat with Dan, and maybe if necessary, we'll tag you out. I'll keep things going in the meantime. So yeah, while Ben's muted. So yeah, as I was saying, game companies often do secure the licenses to this, and Fuser is a great example. Harmonix have secured the rights to that music, and they have secured permission for that game to be streamed. So from Harmonix's point of view, it's totally okay for you to play, as long as you're not, making mad profit or promoting things that are outside the terms of use. If you're being racist or something, or if you're promoting a competing product, then they might take a different view. But their general default position is that Fuser is okay to stream, which is why we've taken the risk today. However, the problem in all cases really is automated systems. So Where Facebook have quite a lot of manual moderation, and we'll talk about YouTube's system in a second, Twitch's system is automated and offers little recourse to people who get striked. We've actually been striked, well, not properly striked before, but we've been muted on some of our videos for short clips of in-game audio that we believe that we do have permission to use. I have actually, in one instance, filed a counterclaim to be like, "This, we're totally allowed to do this," and I just never heard back. But clearly it's a growing problem, and more people are complaining about this, and Twitch were forced to respond. They have said they're working on more tools, both from an education standpoint to educate streamers about what is acceptable and what they can do, and also hopefully a system that enables people to respond. Because I think the problem is, Twitch can't be held responsible for people filing incorrect claims, but they can be responsible for making sure that it's as easy as possible for you to respond and be like, "No, I have the license. Here's a link to where they say it's definitely fine for me to use it," or any kind of agreement that you've signed. YouTube have obviously gone through this problem, and they have their own gaming section. They have arrived at what you might call a nicer middle ground. So it is possible to get badly copyright striked on YouTube. It kind of depends on what the rights holder decides to do. But in the majority of cases, you'll find they use a system called Content ID, which basically allows the content rights holder to specify what should happen. And most of the time, at least in my experience and the experience of other people that I've spoken to, they basically adjust where the revenue goes for the video. So if you have a monetized video, they'll send the money to the person who owns the copyright. They also allow you to track the video stats, so you can tell whether it's a big deal. You could be like, "This video's got 100 views, we don't care." Or "This video's got 2 million views, and it's just our movie in full that we produced. So let's take that down, or take a different view of it." So YouTube's system is relatively mature compared to Twitch's, and I don't think Twitch have a particularly good excuse for not having a mature system at this point. This is Jeff Bezos money we're talking about here. But you would expect that they would be able to develop something, and it sounds like they're working on it. To be fair to them, it does sound like they're working on it. And I acknowledge that I'm criticising Twitch while using Twitch. Twitch is a fantastic platform, and we love it. But there's clearly things need to improve around this. One last note for me, and before I try and get Ben back involved and see if his microphone's any better. Some games have begun offering a toggle for turning off copyrighted music. So this is in the game itself, allowing you to disable music which is copyright protected. Fortnite did this a while ago, actually, but recently, high-profile games like Cyberpunk 2077. I need to get a cyber tongue so I can say words correctly. And also interesting, I heard some chat the other day about Tony Hawk's. So Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, the remaster, had a lot of licensed music in it, and people are theorising that game has suffered from a sales and marketing perspective because people won't stream it because they're worried about the music in the game. And then we should note that even in these cases, they're not foolproof systems, so you could turn off copyrighted music, but people have been, got for things like a siren, which you might hear on my stream sometimes. I'm near a main road, but sirens sounding too much like a copyrighted Foley and sound effects pack. Like, people can get striked for that. So it's a system that's rife with a lot of false positives, which is problematic, and we need to find a way to deal with that. Ben, give us a few words of speech.
Please tell me you can hear me now.
I can hear you now, and I no longer want to rip my ears off. Thank you to all the viewers who stuck with us through the technical difficulties.
Yes, Ben, apologies.
Let's talk about copyright, Ben.
Yep.
And we know to copyright that. Anyone who does a video that sounds like crap, we've got the copyright. We're going to come for
we
you.
own it. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? As you said, it's it's a largely not a broken system, but it's certainly not a well-functioning system yet. Whether you can put that down to the infancy of Twitch in the grand scheme of things, as I heard you say when I was messing around with cables, that it's not new, so it's kind of as much as they can say it was taken them by surprise. It shouldn't have been a surprise because this is always going to happen. But it's a difficult one. Copyright is a really, really difficult thing no matter what. As you said, there's a lot of them which were picked up from songs, just people playing them in the background, which is kind of like, well, you are broadcasting that music and you don't have the license, but you're not.
Yeah.
It's not like if I was streaming something and I just happen to have a bit of Billy Joel playing in the background. I'm not using Billy Joel to promote myself or saying, hey, come listen to me do this Billy Joel concert. And I'm really aging myself there from an era I didn't live through.
Ben Joy, the 60-year-old man.
But it's it's a really difficult one, because if it picks it up that you're using that music, which technically you are, but you're not using it for any real personal gain, it's a real, I don't know, it feels like it's a grey area where you would think on paper there isn't a grey area. Either you're breaking copyright or you're not, but it is a very, very grey area. And as you're saying with the Tony Hawk games, like, that's crazy. Like, if you're streaming that game, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, you haven't gone out and gone, right, I'm going to play this song specifically on my stream. It's the game that's doing that. And yeah, it's a really difficult one. There was a thing the other week.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, the Tony Hawk example is a really good example, because the people who make these games want you to stream them. Like, it's not like streaming is this. I mean, maybe when it started, it was. Streaming is no longer the preserve of, like, oh, it's just like, weird people in the internet doing weird internet things. It's a really key part of, like, a video game launch strategy, of a marketing strategy. Like these companies want you to play their games. Nobody's there like, oh, they're playing. Well, maybe some companies occasionally, not naming names, don't understand that. But generally speaking, they want you to play and they want you to stream. So it's a system that currently doesn't benefit gamers and doesn't benefit studios or publishers either.
No, it's a really funny one. What I was going to say is that there was the controversial comment which got absolutely shot down the other month. Where it was like, well, technically, if you're playing a game on Twitch, you're breaking copyright because you're streaming something that's not your IP. And it's kind of like, well, if you go that granular and you go that black and white, then technically yes. But as you just said, like, we know the case. People want game companies for the most part want you to stream their games. So you would never no one would ever pull you up for that. But it's a similar thing. It's, if you go that black and white, technically, by the laws of copyright, you could be copyright infringing. So it's a really difficult one where you draw the line. And when we said we were going to talk about it this week, I was looking at things like, well, how do people on, like, TikTok get away with it? Like, when the crazies go around and it's like, oh, well, it's the dance craze to this song. It's like, well, how is that not getting picked up by copyright? But if I'm playing some sweet Billy Joel tracks in the background, I'm going to get knocked off of Twitch. So.
Do you want to pimp a Billy Joel TikTok here? Is that what you're doing with this?
I've got Billy Joel on the brain. I'm a huge Billy Joel fan, and I've been listening to him this week. And
for the viewers at home who don't know, Billy Joel is a musician.
What? Who doesn't know Billy Joel?
Ask your parents about Billy Joel. But yeah, no, you're looking into TikTok, and how do they handle it?
Yeah. So it was a little bit. I kind of got some, like, myths, and people were saying different things. Like, some people were saying, like, oh, well, TikTok has a 15-second license, whereas if it's under 15 seconds, it's fine. It's like, well, then other people say, well, no, that's a complete myth. That doesn't exist, and it's just because it's really new. And, like, I guess with Twitch, like, it's taking a while for the record companies to catch up. It becomes really, really difficult, and it's really difficult to police, which I guess is why there is so many flaws in these systems and why it hasn't been nailed down. In that, if it's not going to be manual, because it's not going to be able to be manual, there's just no way. It's not possible to do it on a manual basis. It has to be somewhat automated, and it then becomes, as you said, really difficult to pick up. Okay, if someone's just playing a song in the background, they're not doing it, or if someone's literally going, come to my channel and I'm going to do a concert with this band and play their album, front to back. It's really difficult. I don't know what the answer is. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't even think the lawyers know the full answer, to be honest, because of the difficulties that we see with this. But it's definitely
and
difficult for streamers.
One of Twitch's points, which is a good point, is that it doesn't matter if you get a tweet from Kanye West and he says, "Yeah, stream my music." Like he's not the only person in that chain who, well, he doesn't really own most of it, and I know that recently he's been trying to, but artists for the most part often don't own their music, so it doesn't necessarily, even if you happen to get a confirmation from a singer, even doesn't necessarily guarantee you that the people who own the rights, which is usually a record label, are happy with it.
And for people who don't know who Kanye West is,
ask your kids.
What is that reference?
Well, you can't compare Kanye West to Billy Joel.
No, Billy Joel is far superior.
Well, okay, we'll stop there before we start